Nonfiction finalists, Manning Marable for Malcolm X, A Life of Reinvention, published by the Viking Press, an imprint of Penguin Group USA. Reading for Mr. Marable is Zaheer Ali, a principal researcher of the book.
3 days before the book's release, Dr. Manning Marable tragically and unexpectedly passed away. On behalf of his wife, Leith Mullings, and his children, Malika, Sojourner, and Joshua, and his stepchildren, Aaliyah and Michael, who are here this evening, and his extended family of friends, colleagues, and students, of which I'm proud to have been one, I'm honored to stand in his stead and read from what was a decades-long passion and pursuit of his, the study of the life of Malcolm X. And I'm going to read two excerpts, one from the prologue, one from the epilogue, and then an acknowledgement that I think convey the grasp that he had of his subject and the spirit with which he approached it. The great temptation for the biographer of an iconic figure is to portray him or her as a virtual saint, without the normal contradictions and blemishes that all human beings have. I have devoted so many years in the effort to understand the interior personality and mind of Malcolm that this temptation disappeared long ago. He was a truly historical figure in the sense that, more than any of his contemporaries, he embodied the spirit, vitality, and political mood of an entire population, Black urban mid-century America. Black urban mid-20th century America. He spoke with clarity, humor, and urgency, and Black audiences both in the United States and throughout Africa responded enthusiastically. Even when he made controversial statements with which the majority of African Americans strongly disagreed, few questioned his sincerity and commitment. On the other hand, any comprehensive review of his public record reveals major mistakes of judgment, including negotiations with the Ku Klux Klan. But unlike many other leaders, Malcolm had the courage to admit his mistakes and to seek out and apologize to those he had offended. Even when I have disagreed with him, I deeply admire the strength and integrity of his character and the love he obviously felt toward the African American people and their culture. A biography maps the social architecture of an individual's life. The biographer charts the evolution of a subject over time, and the various challenges and tests that the individual endures provide insights into the person's character. But the biographer has an additional burden: to explain events and the perspectives and actions of others that the subject could not possibly know, that nevertheless had a direct bearing on the individual's life. Malcolm X today has iconic status in the pantheon of multicultural American heroes. But at the time of his death, he was widely reviled and dismissed as an irresponsible demagogue. Malcolm deliberately sought to stand at the margins, challenging the United States government and American institutions. There was a cost to all this. The state branded him as a subversive and a security risk. J. Edgar Hoover's animus toward Malcolm X, for example, set into motion acts of illegal wiretapping, surveillance, and disruption by law enforcement officers that probably surpassed anything Malcolm could have imagined. Malcolm was not fully aware until too late of the deep hostilities he had provoked inside the Nation of Islam that led a coterie of officials around Muhammad to call for his murder. He placed his trust in a bodyguard who may have planned and helped to carry out his public execution. Leaders like Malcolm have enormous confidence in themselves and in their ability to persuade others. It was extremely difficult for him to anticipate betrayal or even to acknowledge it. Malcolm's strength was his ability to reinvent himself in order to function and even thrive in a wide variety of environments. He carefully crafted his physical presentation, the manner in which he approached others, drawing upon the past experiences from his own life, as well as from African American folklore and culture. He wove a narrative of suffering and resistance, of tragedy and triumph that captured the imaginations of Black people throughout the world. He lived the existence of an itinerant musician, traveling constantly from city to city, standing night after night on the stage, manipulating his melodic tenor voice as an instrument. He was consciously a performer who presented himself as the vessel for conveying the anger and impatience the Black masses felt. Impoverished African Americans could admire Dr. King, but Malcolm not only spoke their language, he had lived their experiences in foster homes, in prisons, in unemployment lines. Malcolm was loved because he could present himself as one of them. And finally, I'm deeply grateful to the real Malcolm X, the man behind the myth, who courageously challenged and transformed himself, seeking to achieve a vision of a world without racism. Without erasing his mistakes and contradictions, Malcolm embodies a definitive yardstick by which all other Americans who aspire to a mantle of leadership should be measured.